What's up, guys? It's your girl, Velonika Pome'e, and you guys are listening to the Encouragers podcast show.
Thank you for joining the Encouragers podcast. My name is Tech, your host for today's show. Today's a very special show as we're here with first ever community activist and Polynesian Sports Illustrated swimsuit model, Velonika Pome'e. Veronica?
Yes.
Do you go by Veronica or Velonika?
The Polynesians call me Veronica. Like, my, people who know me as Velonika. My family call me Nika or like V. So it's on the person and how well they know me.
Okay.
So it's up to you guys. You guys, I know some of you guys want to go with V and Velonika and Veronica, and I just,
Yeah.
It's up to you.
All right. Cool.
I remember you saying that the princess, when you guys were with the princess in New York, when she came and visited you guys, that she gave you a special name, or like she called you a nickname, right?
She called me Ronnie. She said, like, you call people Veronica, you call them Ronnie for short. And I never knew that. Like, I never knew because, like, Ronnie, So she was like, yeah, no one can call you that but me. And she's always like, Ronnie.
Well, Sid and I were out in New York and we met up with Veronica. And when Veronica was telling me and Sid that story, all of a sudden my man Sid was calling Veronica Ronnie the whole time. I was like, dude, did you not just hear? The princess was the only one that calls her Ronnie. He was like,
yeah, actually, Sid was the second person to tell me, like, yeah, they call Veronica Ronnie for short. And so I didn't know that, like, and that's what he started calling me Ronnie.
How do you move, Sydney?
You're probably one of the two only models that we know that are Polynesian, Tongan specifically. And we'd like to know, like, what inspired you to become a model?
What inspired me to become a model? I actually, initially that was not part of, like, my plan. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a thing like, oh, I always wanted to be a model or I've always wanted this since I was a little girl. Like, I actually started out as a community organizer, and we used to put together events for, like, young people to come together and, like, creatively express themselves through the arts. And we try to bridge that with community volunteerism. And we used to put on charity fashion shows. And so one of the shows, we were raising money to feed the homeless. And me and my team would actually, like, walk. We became part of the show. And there was a designer from the crowd who was like, hey, I want you to come walk with me during LA Fashion Week. And that's how I kind of started modeling. But it was, like, never really like, oh, yeah, I want to be a model. I kind of started just being more strategic and understanding that fashion, music, sports, that whole, like, celebrity pop culture has a huge influence on young people and how they feel about themselves and how they view themselves, like, in the world. And I felt like, with my community works and what I was trying to do, that wasn't really, like, hitting. And so modeling was like, okay, well, let me go do this and get everyone's attention. And then once I have their attention, let me drop what I'm really passionate about. How am I going to plug, like, community outreach or community build-up, especially, like, in the individual, how to make them care more about themselves and about the people or, their surroundings.
Oh, so just bring pretty much awareness to the community?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So, I feel like maybe what inspired me to start modeling was because, like, I knew I could, like, maybe have a greater role in, like, how I influence young people.
Okay.
And,
so then how'd you get in model for Sports Illustrated?
Last year they held a model search, and you were able to upload a video on Instagram telling them why they should pick you. And you were also able to go in person to Miami and meet with the team. And so I did both. I I told myself, I was like, I'm gonna create a video, and if they don't pick my video, I'm gonna go there and wow them with my personality. In person, I was like, oh, get that. And that's what I did. I did the video, and I didn't get selected, and I was bummed about it. And I was just like, well, I'm going to go to Miami, and I'm going to really go and like show them who I am in person. And that's what I did. And it was crazy because they had like that day, they had 10,000 girls show up. Like 10,000 physical bodies show up in Miami for this model search. Yeah. So yeah, and I was there from about 8:30 in the morning all the way until 6 p.m. Like, you go through rounds. Like the first round, you literally have 2 minutes to kind of sell yourself, and you go and you meet with like 5 people. There's like 5 people in the room, and they send 60 girls into the room, and you see them all one by one, and you have 2 minutes. And there's a girl who comes and taps them on their shoulder when you're halfway through. So you're literally watching everyone get interviewed, and as soon as they get that tap, like, oh shit, like you better like it's go time. And yeah, like it was a pretty cool experience. It was scary, it was nervous. But it's like one of those things that like I'll never forget how I felt in those moments, and like what happened, and like what I said, how they reacted, how much I was in my head about stuff. Like, it's crazy to see where things have transpired to now. Because like even when you guys ask me questions like that, it triggers like those moments like, oh shit, that was just last year,
Oh, that was a year ago?
And yeah, in July it'll be officially a year. It was a year ago when we first started this whole Sports Illustrated model search thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's funny because we had Rachel Neal on a couple weeks ago, and she was telling us about the same thing about like when they're looking for models, they're mostly looking for their personality.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool how you were telling you went out there to express your personality and show them who you really are.
Yeah. Oh, I love Rachel. She's a dope girl.
Do you guys hang out a lot out there? Since you guys both live in New York?
I actually met her for the first time when the princess flew out there during New York Fashion Week to come and meet with me. Yeah. And yeah, that was like my first time meeting her, meeting like a Tongan chick in the same space. Like just really familiar, and living in New York. And I just thought that like, that's cool. It's a different feeling when you meet your own people in this industry. Yeah. And you get it, like, and it doesn't have to be like specifically with modeling, but like in those type of spaces where it's so limited that when you do see your own kind, like it's like mafana, like you feel like, oh, okay, like, and so, yeah, I met Richard and her husband for the first time, and this is when she was still pregnant with her baby, and I was actually there. I listened to the your guys' last podcast. Uh-huh. And I heard, and when she was telling you guys that story, I was there when she asked Honorable Frederica for a name, and like Frederica text Princess Piulepu like right away, and like asked her mom to help her out, and like they waited on it. So like hearing her explain that story was pretty cool, because I was just like, yeah, I can say I was there.
Do you have a favorite Polynesian meal?
I do. Yeah. I like
Now, sorry to interrupt you, but someone was telling me that you're a vegetarian?
I am. I'm a pescatarian.
Yeah, you mean pescatarian. Fish, right?
Yeah, I have seafood. I have what our ancestors had. Okay. Yeah, I don't eat meat, but yeah, my favorite meal is luika.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Anything Lou for me.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But you gotta lower it though. You have to put like, I like my Lou with hella knock on it.
Ew.
Yeah, the coconut oil.
Ew.
Coconut.
Oh, don't get off Palani on it now. Ew, like you didn't grow up on that.
No, but hold on, that's not Palani. I think that's just our parents just put too heavy.
Yeah. No, it's cool. No, I mean, you gotta do what's right for you, like the whole pescatarian thing.
Yeah,
you know, it's all about making good choices. Now, is that like is that just for health reasons? Is it like?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that 5 years ago when I actually made the conscious decision to give up meat, just giving it up for Lent. At that time, like I was doing a lot of like soul searching and just like really reading up about like our ancestors and how they thrived and how they used to eat and how meat was a luxury. And it was only eaten on Sundays, you know, for like after church dinners, you know. So that's something that we learn. That's like a very Western way of thinking with the meat. We get colonized, we move to the States, and then we start, you know, that's where our habits kind of like shifts. But yeah, definitely it's a health thing. And it's kind of just going back to my roots, you know, like, yeah.
That's what's up.
Mm-hmm.
That's dope. I know there's some doctors out there that, there's a lot of different science and stuff, but I remember reading about because my mom, she's a vegan, and I remember when she was going through her stuff, her cancer, getting over her cancer, we like read books about how if you just go back to how your ancestors ate, you'll be fine. Like your body will fix itself.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. I believe that for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe it too.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna give up meat too, Ted?
What's that?
Believe it? You're gonna give up meat too? I mean, you know, you just.
I mean,
have
you
to try
know.
it, you know.
If I give up meat, man, I can't
I
go.
mean,
That means I have to give up my hunting and fishing.
Oh, you can hunt. You can
I
hunt
can't
down.
Man,
Just don't eat it. You can just feed the community.
that's
Just come drop it off at my house.
I hunt is for food.
For real. Send it over here, man. Just freeze it.
Hell yeah.
Put it in the cooler.
And be like, here, Auntie, I got you some meat that I just killed. I spent 3 days up in the mountains by myself. You know. Here you go, bro. Thank you.
I went in the mountain and freeze to get meat for you.
That's what's up, though.
mm-hmm.
When you started doing this thing for Sports Illustrated, you had to build a lot of confidence. Where'd you get that confidence from, or how'd you build it?
A lot of that confidence came from my brothers. Came from my dad, like the men in my life. At the time, I didn't really realize what they were doing, you know, because when I was younger, I was like very insecure about a lot of things. Like I'm a big girl. Notis knows, he met me in person. I think a lot of people don't expect when they see me in person. Like I'm really tall, and I take up space, like, you know. And growing up, I didn't like it. I hated it. I didn't like my height, and I was really embarrassed about my weight. I've always been a big girl. And, you know, my brothers used to say things about me, like, you know, just give me compliments when I was younger. And my dad used to make me wear heels when I was younger. And I hated it. Like, and he'd always be like, you know, if you walk into a room with a short girl, who do you think they're going to notice first? So it was like little things that they planted in my life. And, you know, now that I understand it, I'm like thinking like, dang, the way that I think about myself and how I view, like, you know, it came from my brothers and like my dad. And, you know, and what better way than to get that from them, because they're the realest men in your life who's going to tell you how it is. And, you know, and put you, like my brothers put me on like life game. I feel like, you know, we definitely did not have like a traditional Tongan relationship and how you're supposed to be whakapapa with your sisters. And, you know, it was not that. They were like my best friends, and I literally could talk to them about anything. And yeah, I definitely say that they're the ones who instilled like the confidence in me.
Hey, shout out to the brothers. Shout out to listening.
Shout out to the broskies.
Absolutely.
You say you're tall. Would you mind telling us how tall you are for our listeners?
Yeah, I'm about 6 feet, maybe 6'1" on a good day.
Ooh.
Like,
How about with your
suetes on? You about 6'2"?
with my suetes, I'm like 6'3", 6'4". My brothers are still taller than me and they're like about 6'5", 6'6". So like, wow. I'm for sure sitting up on stilts.
Yeah, but that's what's up though. You know, that's cool that you got those men in your life that really just built you up to help you become the confident woman that you are. You know, it's important, especially for our youth, because like I have a daughter, she's gonna be big, you know, but you know, it's just having to, you know, just reiterate to them that there's so many different forms of beauty. You know, it's not always just like a slender, you know, thin, certain height. You know, big is beautiful too. You know, and I always tell my daughter she's just extra healthy. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I think that's as men. You know, for women, that's very important because you see, like, when little girls get older, they go out and seek out validation in men. And you can see that in their relationships and how they look for love, you know? So, like, the father's role, or, like, just like the men's role in a woman's life, a little girl's life, is so extremely important because ultimately you're building that girl from the inside out. So when she gets older, she knows how to combat those things. You know, people like try to make her feel some type of way about how she looks. She's going to already have like that reassurance from the other men in her life. Like, no, you're good. Like, it's from here, you know, it's like from your heart. It's who you are as a person and how you exude that and what you radiate. So I think that's like dope that you're doing that with her because it's going to be hard. You know, I remember how I felt when I was a young girl. And being that size and not really understanding my body, not really understanding my genetics. Like, this is how I'm built. So, you know, and you compare yourself to, like, you know, the Palani girls who are smaller in stature and, like, they have different hair texture than you or different features. And you might, you know, it's really, like, when we get older, it makes a lot more sense. But it's like we have to kind of, like, think like a child and how we felt at that age about our insecurities, and we never talked about them. And so, like, I think that's extremely important, like, kind of like reinforce that in your daughter and, like, just build her up, plant those seeds in her because, you know, when she gets older, those things are gonna come back and, like, really make much more sense to her, even though she doesn't understand it at the time, but when she gets older, because I feel like for me, like, personally, that's what's happening now in my journey. It's a lot of things that, like, I remember my brothers and my dad telling me, and I'm like, dang, that's what they meant. Like, now I'm starting to feel it, you know?
That's making sense. Yeah, so we saw that you posted on Instagram talking about how happy you were with Sports Illustrated for revolutionizing the beauty standards. I mean, that kind of goes along with what you're talking about now, right?
Yeah. I think that it's so dope that Sports Illustrated is doing that is because they're, you know, like, they're a brand. They're in the market of, like, consumerism. Yep. And so it's what people take in and how they process information, how they apply it. And so the media has a huge role in that and how people feel about themselves be based off what they see. And for Sports Illustrated being a swimsuit brand, they've been around for a long time. They're, like, at the top, you know, of their field. And for them to embrace a woman like me, a Tongan woman, like, and, you know, like, for them to give me that opportunity is, like, huge. Like, not only for the culture, but for the sake of the conversation itself, because I have a lot of perspective to bring to that. Because as a Tongan woman, like, we're naturally built this way. You know, even in the Tongan culture, the thicker you are, you know, in your legs, you know, that's just like, you know, it's like an attractive trait. Whereas in the culture here, like, people, they hate their legs. They hate the size. Like, they don't, you know, they hate being big girls. It's like, you know, it's like different approaches to, like, beauty standards for sure.
Yeah, but would you kind of say that it speaks to where we are as a society as far as, like, accepting more, more accepting now as to what beauty is and the standards? Because I mean, like, you know, I feel like those things you're talking about, they've always been beautiful throughout time. You know, that's just part of our culture. But do you feel like that speaks to how far our society's come?
Absolutely. I think that, like, it's it's a good step in the right direction. You know, that's why it is such, like, a big deal, and it's so dope. And I'm super grateful that Sports Illustrated did, like, you know, take a chance with me in that way, because I'm able to shed a lot of light on that. Like, you know, we can talk about being, like, physically attractive, you know, but, like, that's not entirely who I am. And I don't really, you know, that's not something that, like, you know how, like, some girls grow up always like maybe knowing that they were beautiful, feeling like they were beautiful, or, you know, everyone has their little insecurities here and there, but like I never really thought highly of myself in that regard. Mm-hmm. And so I was always I was literally the homie in high school. Like I was the girl that all the dudes like, oh yeah, she hella cool or whatever, but who's her friend? And, you know, I'm trying to get her friend, like, or they'll come and talk to me like, yo, what's up with this, you know? And so that's how I look at it. Like I was always just a homie. Like, so no one ever looked at me like that. And I feel like I always had to play up who I am, my personality. Like I used to say that, like, yeah, like he probably wouldn't holler at me at first glance, but I bet you if I had a conversation with this dude, like he's gonna be like, hey, I want to know something, you know, I want to know more about this girl. Like that was kind of like my outlook on it when I was younger. And then now, you know, that people are starting to pay more attention to me because of like the way that I look or because of my body, I kind of have to like, you know, I have to be able to kind of break it down. Like I'm so much more than that. People are just now starting to see this side of me, but this is like what I really come from. And that's how I really want to build other girls up in that way. You know, your confidence really does come from inside. Like it's your essence. It's a light that you radiate, and it will manifest in the way that you look outside. Anybody who like feels good about themselves and just an overall happy person, that's a beautiful quality. You know, that's not how you look. That's just a beautiful quality to have. And, you know, I think that when we start to like break down those concepts, we can start to understand like better, like how we can really exude it and how it really comes out. So Sports Illustrated putting me on like that, I'm able to like bring my ideas to the table, and I'm really like able to kind of like be creative and innovative in that way and inspire girls to kind of like, you know, just reevaluate the way we do things and redefine some of the things that we've been taught. And the work is definitely from the inside out, you know. Yeah.
Who has been your mentor as you continue to progress as a professional model?
I feel like my mentors right now is probably like my team, the people I have around me that's supporting me and like really teaching me the ropes, learning about business, learning about the fashion industry, learning about myself. You know, I feel like they're all mentoring me and just like making sure that like I stay the course and like don't lose myself and stay grounded. So I definitely say like my management team, like my close family, my friends, they're all starting to understand that there's like a big shift happening in my life. And it's pretty cool that they can be a part of it with me too.
Hey, so you get to pick your management team, like you get to choose the people that you can surround yourself with that can, like you talked about, encouraging you, you know, making sure that your head is straight, make sure that you're thinking the right thoughts in your head while you're doing your professional work.
Yeah.
You get to choose who you can surround yourself with, or does the company that you join, they already give you a team and that's just who you have?
Nah, my agency, my modeling agency, Velonika, is completely different from my actual management team. I have an agent for like booking me work and stuff, but like I have like, you know, different people who set up and like in their roles too. And I don't think it's more so of like me picking who it is that I get to work with. I think that it's very much like God ordained. It's who God places in my life to be like a light and kind of be like a guide for me. You know, and I feel like very blessed in that way to say that like I met people along the way in my journey who's just like very like genuinely been there and like they, you know, they believe in the things that I'm doing, and they wanted to come on board and just help and like really just be there to support. And so that's how I kind of lined up with these people. And you know, like light attracts light. So when you feel that in a person, you kind of keep people like that around. And like, you know, and Notis can easily be one of those people for me as well, because the way that I met him was very organic and we linked up. And then, you know, you meet with like-minded individuals, you kind of understand and you get things in a different way. And you just naturally just like stay, you know, you stay connected and like, because you're trying to do the same work, essentially, it just looks different, you know, or they have different titles or whatever, but we all trying to do the same thing, you know, we're trying to help build, we're trying to grow, we're trying to evolve as individuals, as a community, and like anybody who's like down with that, like I'm always loyal to that, like, so I don't think it's a matter of me choosing. It's just like, you know, if we vibe, then we vibe. Like, that's, you know.
Yeah, and also if things aren't meant to be in your path, you know, God, I believe strongly that God will take them out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if it isn't, you know, and it's not meant. Like, you know, people have, when they say, what is it called? Like, so, what is it called? Like
hidden agendas or something?
No, not hidden agendas. When you're like soulmates and stuff, like people think that you're supposed to stay in people's lives forever. Sometimes you just meet people for like a specific reason, for them to teach you a lesson. Yeah, you know, good or bad or whatever it is. And so, you know, and you learn how to kind of like protect your energy and be selective with the relationships you have around you. And, you know,
that's a big one, protecting energy.
Yeah.
It's a big one.
And I think being Polynesian, I think we have, maybe I'm just being biased because I'm poly, but I think we have like superpowers and the ability to even see if somebody's for real. You know, you can kind of dissect a person when you're talking to them. And I think that's just part of our island flavor, you know. That we can do that. We can see when somebody's fake, or we can see when somebody's really authentic with your relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Island flavor, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that ultimately comes from us just being like naturally instinctive, you know, and that's not far off, because if you think about our ancestors being like navigators and the sea explorers of that time and learning how to read, you know, the waves, the wind, and be tapped in with the elements, that's having like natural instincts to kind of like follow certain things, and those are survival instincts as well. So I don't think you're far off from that. It's not like we really do have a different like makeup code, and once we tap into that, oh man, these dudes don't know. Like
then you meet a person like, you know, that person's like really cool, but they don't see that.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey man, come on, man, you don't see that person's trying to use you or just doing it for the wrong reason. So,
yeah, but we're also like mata ofa, like, you know, we're that kind of people, like, so that's also what makes us different from a lot of people in that way. Like, you know, we're always leading with love. It's always like, you know, caring, giving. And I think that in my industry, like, that's what really makes me special, you know, that makes me different from the rest of this, because I'm not treating, I really don't have a hidden agenda. I don't have no ill intentions. I'm not trying to step on nobody's toes. I don't really care about, you know, the things that you guys care about. You know, it's not about that to me. It's like the superficial realities of my industry. You know, it's not about that for me. I think it's definitely so much more, but that's also in like the essence of who I am, and like being Tongan. These things have been rooted in me 7 generations before me, you know, like.
Oh my God. I love it.
Say it with your chest.
You know, when we're talking about energy and things like that, what is some advice that you would give to, you know, the younger Polynesians who are struggling with confidence, or who are looking to do something in relation to modeling? What are some advice that you would give to them as they're searching for, you know, what to do?
I would say, you know, that they really have to be fearless, and, you know, like faith work. You know, a lot of times, like, we like to think that it sounds like so cliche. People like, hey, you really have to believe in yourself and don't give up on something, and this is and a third. Like, it sounds cliche, but it's so very real. Like, it's so important. It's so real that you have to really have like undeniable faith in who you are and what it is that you have to offer the world. And you have to be fearless in that sense, because sometimes you are going to have to go against the grain. You might have to challenge a few things that you've been taught, like growing up. And that's scary, you know, that's scary. Like, cause that's almost like you being disobedient as a poly, you know, and you never want to be disobedient to your parents. That's the number one thing that we're raised on, is to, you know, like, so, if you're like, you know, if you're trying to tap into spaces that haven't been tapped in by our people, it's really important to understand that you have to believe in who you are and what you're doing this for. And then also like be bold enough to stand for it, and like stand your ground, because you are going to challenge the culture. You might have to go against the culture. You're going to challenge the status quo. Your parents might not agree with what it is that you're doing. No one's going to understand what it is that you're doing, but you got to understand it. You know, as long as you understand it, you know, then it is what it is. But like, you know, I get asked a lot by a lot of poly girls that they want to like get into modeling, how to do it, how to start, whatever. And it's one of the things I usually tell them, like, you know, really try to identify your why. Why do you want to do this? I don't really want to paint the picture that like it's just taking pictures and looking pretty, and you know, that's not what this is. Like for real, it's gonna break you down in a real way. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know how to really hold your own, like they're gonna rip you to pieces and make you feel like you know, you are nothing. Like, and you're gonna come from the small island. You're gonna go back to the small island you came from. You know.
Yeah.
So you have to really like have that courage and have that faith in yourself to move forward.
Yes. I have that conviction, man. Gotta believe in yourself. Even when people don't believe in you, you gotta be a fan, you know?
Oh yeah. And you're gonna go through that a couple times. It's not like a one-time thing. This is like, you got your whole life to live. You're gonna deal with things like that. Yeah. So you just have to be ready, you know, learning how to maneuver. Like,
I'm glad you spoke up on the, you know, the part about, you know, being obedient to our parents, because, you know, sometimes that's the message that the youth need to hear the most. You know, they're scared of, because they think of it in a negative light, like they're challenging their parents. But really, sometimes you got to listen to your heart. You got to listen to what's inside of you and what's calling you. You know, it might be bigger than even your parents can see at the moment, but
facts.
In due time, you know.
Facts. Like that's the number one thing I feel like when I talk to young people and I ask them how they feel about certain things, or like what their opinions are, or, you know, and they can never really give me a straight up answer of how they feel without sounding like something that they either was taught or that you learned in the book.
Yeah.
You know, you can never give me a straight up answer in what your personal experience and how you relate to something. You can't put, and like ultimately that's what I'm looking for. You know, I want these people, I want them to understand that like your experiences is what really shapes you as a person and really adds to your character and builds your confidence. So until you can tell me the things that you have done and maybe your mistakes and the things you've been through or whatever, you can't really tell me anything, you know? And for me personally, that's how I knew, like, just for my own personal journey, I need to move in that way. Like, I'm only going to learn and get better by experiencing things and putting myself in uncomfortable situations, or, you know, I'm in the trenches and I'm trying to learn how to serve, you know, whatever it is. But young people don't understand that, like, you have to go through that, you know? You got to get a little seasoned. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But because I feel like, you know, we like to shame and condemn. That's the culture of it all. If you mess up, if you make mistakes, if you're an imperfect, you know, citizen, whatever it is, they like still lalo and they look down on it. Yeah. And that's why young people don't know how to really understand and process their experiences in a positive light. Even if it was something like bad or, you know, something wrong that you did or whatever, you don't know how to take it like with a grain of salt, or like, you know, just take things like
keep it moving.
Yeah. And you know, and learn, take the lesson out of it more than anything. And I think that it's really important to just like break down these concepts for young people, because you know how, like, I know how I felt. You guys know how you felt in your own personal experiences. And we're still like very young. We're still very young and like to the world where we don't know everything. Yeah. And we're not going to know everything. And that's okay too. You know, that's okay to not know.
Hey, what you're saying is everybody got a story.
Yeah.
And the way that you, explain your stories, what you're trying to say, you got to tell it with your heart, you know, with some feelings behind it. You're the only one who lives that story, right?
Yeah. And it's your truth. You know, it's your
the truth.
It's your truth.
Individual truth.
It's what makes you special. It's what, like, you know, and like and even as we're speaking about this, it's like something that like I'm still learning to embrace and accept too, because there's like, you know, the bigger the platform is, the higher the stakes.
Straight up.
And, you know, and so like, I was just having this conversation with my brother like 2 nights ago, and we're talking about these things where I'm in like places with like people of high status, and you know, it's a little intimidating, you know, even for a person like me, you know, because I come from I come from struggle, like I come from this cultural strict background where I was never really able to like really be myself, and so now that I have the opportunity to that, it's a little, you know, it's unfamiliar to me. I never, you know, and a lot of you know, when I meet with like really like high, like, you know, well-known people, they're always telling me like, you know, culturally you're taught to be respectable and to be humble. Those are 2 qualities that cultured people have. So you always want to, you know, you treat people in that highest regard. But when it comes to this industry, come in here with that confidence, like you deserve to be here, like you're worthy enough to be here. It doesn't matter where you come from, or you know how much money you got in your pocket, whatever. You own your truth, because that's what you know. That's what's that's what sets you apart from everybody else in the room.
Just say it with your chest.
Yeah.
Say it with your chest.
Yeah, for real. Say it with your chest. And not only that, but you are dropping some great knowledge for all the Tongan little girls, little boys that are listening right now, and, you know, future kids that are wanting to be what you're doing. You're hitting a huge demographic of people, and it's amazing.
Yep. Minorities. You're speaking to a huge demographic.
Yeah, you know,
and we're going to become the majority, you know, not the minority anymore.
Yeah. And like, well, and that's why I also think like this is cool, you know, you guys like allowing me to share my story and for people to get to know me more, because this is what nobody really knows. They're only getting introduced to Velonika Pome'e, the Sports Illustrated model, the first Polynesian, to just this, that, and the third. You know, that's what the association is. And that's cool. I'm super, super grateful for that. But I also want to be able to really kind of bring my ideas to the table, to the forefront of like all my endeavors, and really show who I am as a person, and what is, you know, the force beyond just like the surface, you know.
Let us see the other dimension.
Preach on, sister.
Yes.
Preach on.
Yes.
Tell us about what brought on the Change in Love movement that you started.
Yeah. So, you know, a lot of the reasons like why I even speak the way that I do, how I feel, who I am today, is because of the things that I went through as a teenager. And I feel like I was lost and confused and like misled. And I was young and dumb, just doing a whole bunch of dumb stuff, like, you know, not knowing who I am. And so Change in Love was kind of like birthed out of that, because I knew that a lot of other young people were going through the same things, and they didn't know how to process their experiences, and they didn't know who to turn to. And there's a disconnection between the young generation and the older generation when you're trying to like, you know, put them up on some life game and spit some knowledge, but you're not talking our lingo. And times have changed. Things are different. You can say all you want that I've been there and I've done that, but it's ultimately not until that person themselves, you know, goes through something and really to understand what the lesson is. And so for me, I felt like it was very important that the young minister the young. And I just wanted to create a space for like young people to come together. So we used to like do stuff at my parents' house, like, and the kids from the block that like, you know, that I went to high school with, or I just grew up with them in the neighborhood, we just started to do things, you know, and I wanted to make it cool. I wanted to make it hip, because I also was like, dude, I do all the same things you guys do. I turn up, I do my little, you know, I do all of that. But there's so much more to me, you know, that I want to do other things too. And if we can be able to like, you know, take that to the next level, like why not? By, you know, really tapping into like the arts and our talents and the things that we're good at. And things that we like enjoy. We started off by helping disaster victims. Like it was just something that like I literally was like, I want to help, and I want to find ways to help the world and like get my friends involved. And so the first thing that we did was Japan. Something happened in Japan, and we linked up with a nonprofit organization called Souls for Souls. And we were collecting like just old shoes to send over to the victims that were devastated by I think it was like a hurricane or something that happened in Japan. Or maybe it was an earthquake. I don't remember. But I remember we did stuff like for Japan. We did stuff for Haiti. I went to the Philippines on a medical mission to after the hurricane hit there. We did something for Cyclone Ian in Tonga. And then we did like a lot of local things like healthcare fairs. We would go set up a booth, and like at the time, like, you know, there was young people that were like going to school to become nurses, and so they would come out and like help us like set up a booth and just help like create, you know, just like just doing something for the community, but using like whatever it is that you were doing at the time. If you were going to school to become a nurse, or if you wanted to be a makeup artist or something, like we would create the opportunity for them to do that in a fun, cool, hip way, and at the same time you're giving back to the community.
That's a lot of things you've done.
Yeah,
and it's like spread like not just within your community but all over the world.
Yeah, I feel like I started off like that was my intention. It wasn't like I wasn't trying to be like a model. Like that was my intention. I really just wanted to give back to the community and help young people because of my own personal experiences and what I was going through. And then it kind of turned into so much more than that, and being able to like touch the masses, you know, reach the masses. So it's like, it's still unraveling. Like I feel like the things that I'm talking about now is a very like small part of what it is that I'm really trying to do, what I'm really trying to do in a real way.
It's just like another platform for you to do what your original mission is, to help serve the people.
Absolutely.
That's what's up.
Absolutely.
That is amazing.
And it's doing it by being myself.
Yeah.
By expressing myself, you know, like, and like just getting better. So whether if it's even like with the modeling, like if that helps people feel better about themselves and inspires them to go be, I don't know, whatever it is, then cool. Like that's all part of this master plan, you know.
Hey, you are an influencer. You know, you are an
marathon for sure. And
you speak for so many people. You know, you speak for so many people, and that's awesome that you're using all your platforms to serve the people. That's amazing.
That's like the scary part, I feel like, of it all. It's because it's like I just, you know, like it, like I don't really want everything else that comes with it. I just want to help. I just want to do my part to help. And if, you know, like one of my managers always say, like, I just want to activate people, you know, in their purpose and their life mission. But like everything else, like, you know, like be cool, Notis. Be cool with all that. The leadership, that's like too much pressure. Like, like that sounds like a whole lot of responsibility, and I know that that's also part of it too.
Yeah, that's part of the responsibility that come with all these blessings that you were given. You know, a great responsibility because you have a great amount of blessings.
Yeah, activate Transformers.
Yep.
Hey, so I've been watching your Changing Love, some of your episodes. It's powerful because a lot of the things you talk about, I experienced in my own life as well. So
wow.
I can really relate to a lot of the things that you talked about. But
really?
Hey, so some of the things, some of the things that I kind of wrote down. I wrote down some thoughts while I was listening, and these are some of the thoughts that came to my head. And so the first one is authentic, driven, positive, activist, poised, unapologetic, assertive, underestimated. So, you know, your path and your journey in your life, what are some of the principles or some of the characteristics that you've learned in your story while you're, you know, maneuvering, doing your moves and traveling the world?
I think one of the ones right now that I'm learning is like discipline, like trusting myself more in that way. First of all, those were some amazing adjectives. Thank you. Appreciate that.
I thought you were going to freestyle, Will. That was dope.
Those are definitely the things that like I aspire to be, and like, you know, qualities that like I love to have and like master then within myself. And I feel like right now it's just me being disciplined in the journey to kind of to stay in my lane, you know, and understand that I'm creating my own lane. And then I think the trust part is coming more so like not being afraid. I think like that's one thing that I'm going through right now, that I'm in transition, is like not being afraid of my own greatness. Because I know that I wanted to do these things. Like this has always just been me, you know, who I am as a person. And now that it's like starting to come to the light and there's a bigger platform, a lot of people are starting to see that too. And it's scaring me a little bit because I'm just like, yo, like, you know, it's not even a big deal like that. Like, I feel like everyone has this in themselves, you know, and I kind of shy away where I'm like, I don't really want that. Like, because I'm taking it on as like responsibility. And it's like, I gotta live up to this like expectation that people are having of me. And people are building their own perception of who I am based on what it is that they see. You know, and so, and that's like, those are like, when you think about it like that, like those are big shoes to fill, and I don't want that. Like, I just want to be Velonika. I just want to be me, like, and not think about all this hype that's going on. I just want to remain like true to myself and be authentic, and like, and then just try my best, you know, also try the best to put my best foot forward, and like helping to heal and helping to elevate and helping people to evolve. It's character building for me too, because I'm still learning so much more about myself and things that I never knew about myself. And like, damn, I didn't know like I really, you know, I'm a really ride for this, like, you know, and I didn't know that I'm strong in that way, or, you know, like it's just like these hidden strengths about me that I didn't really know about. And like now that I'm, you know, gaining all these different things, it's a little scary, you know, and I get uncomfortable when other people like kind of, you know, you know, because it holds weight. It holds a lot of weight, especially when the princess came out to Tongan, and like that was like so scary for me, because I was just like, yo, this
power. You're gaining a lot of power too, you know.
Yeah, but
power of your influence. You know, there's nothing wrong with how you're handling it, because you're just being authentically you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's what matters, because, you know, people are learning and growing with you as long as you share that with the people.
Yeah. And I want to keep it like that. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I want to be informal in that way. Like, I don't want no one, like, trying to... I know that there's a lot going on, but also, like, it helps when we just treat each other like human beings and to the highest regard. Like, I'll never disrespect you. You know, I'll never like do anything to like hurt you. And ultimately, that's how we should do. It's like, how can we help each other? How can we add value to each other? How can I make you be the best person, the best possible version of yourself? And in the midst of trying to be the best possible version of myself, you know? And when we simplify those things, it makes it a lot easier for us to really build and have these relationships and like have strong relationships around you, you know? Yeah. That's why that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like it's a deeper form of basic understanding, but there's all this hype and like, you know, just people like
it's like listening to like underground music, like rappers who just barely came out, hip hop music that you really enjoy. And you get connected to those type of the music and the lyrics that they're speaking. But as soon as they go through and get
commercial,
they start to change their lyrics. They start to change
the mainstream.
They try to make radio hits.
Straight up, you know,
because they're thinking about what the people want.
It's not real anymore.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're thinking
kind of what you're saying, right?
It's exactly what I'm saying, yo. That's exactly.
You don't want to get distracted.
Yeah, like I don't want to get too caught up in the hoopla. I just want to really just be true to myself and like you know, and just be a person. Like, I want to have a conversation. Like, don't, like, you know, don't make me feel like it's, you know, like.
Hey, we got a spot for the 6th person in our encouragers now. Your vision and everything you believe in is basically why the podcast came about.
Oh, nice.
We talk about the same things. You know what I'm saying? And that's why, you know, it keeps us rolling. It keeps our head up. And we all talking, so it's a little bit different, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Respect to anybody else or their cultures, but it's just we're all related in some way, and we all connect on the same wavelength.
Exactly.
So when the princess came to New York, what kind of stuff did she pour into you? What kind of you know, lessons or stuff did she pour into you?
Oh man, this girl, yo. I feel like we are asleep on our culture. Every Tongan in America, even the Tongans back home, in general, across the board, we are all asleep on ourselves. We do not know the amount of power that we have, the amount of rich history, knowledge, culture, wealth that we have. And the fact that I got like very significant amount of time with the princess, and she just dropped in so much knowledge on me about like how women, how, you know, the Tongan culture is a matriarchal like based society, and women are the ones who are like very at the forefront of the culture. We're the custodians and caretakers of traditional knowledge, wealth, and culture, and you can see that in who the fahu is in the family, and like your whaahuki, you know, all these things that we do in the culture that we don't really understand. Mm-hmm. It makes like it's so rich with like the history of who we are as people, you know. And she was teaching me about, like, you know, I asked her about how she felt about what I'm doing as a Sports Illustrated model, because we do have a very conservative culture. And, you know, a lot of people did question me at the beginning of my career from the community. And she was, you know, she's the one who was telling me that, like, just because of what it is you do does not change who you are. At the core of who you are a Tongan woman, and you practice those things, whether you wear a tabala or not, you know, whether you're in your traditional garment or not. It's who you are as a person, is how you treat people, it's your values, you know. And Tongan people need to understand that we also helped shape the culture. Women are the ones who are at the forefront and have made some of the most historical changes for the culture. And she was telling me things about like what her grandfather did, her great grandmother did, even her own mom. Her mom was the first Tongan woman or Tongan royal to wear sleeveless pulitahas. And she got a lot of flack for it. So you think about that, like, dang, that's her mom.
Straight up.
You know, we're not so far removed from these cultural changes and like the way that we kind of like judge people. So, you know, just hearing like little things like that, and like, you know, this is just like hidden gems that we as people don't know. We don't know these little things about the royals and how they were. We don't know that we're the last of the giants, which is why we're like, you know, we're huge people and we're big in stature. Like, we don't understand like our abilities. We really do have hidden abilities and superpowers. We had our own gods and goddesses before Christianity came. You know, we definitely had like our own. We're like a very complex society. We were an advanced civilization at one point in time, and so like for her just to be around her presence and for her to have that knowledge, that's knowledge that you and I will not get from our parents. Mm-hmm. You know, about being Tongan and what it means to be Tongan, and how these things happen, like even with like nobility and the chiefs, and you know, they're like talk about like how like Game of Thrones that was Tonga, like, you know. So it just like it really, you know, my experience with her, she opens me up to where I feel so much more confident going into like spaces with like fashion people or celebrities, because you can't say that you have diplomatic friends. Like, I actually have a, you know, I got diplomatic friends. Like, I know like a real life person, part of the royal family, and like really fully with this, you know, like. And so she made me
not
feel.
Mess up.
Dang, no pressure.
Hey,
no pressure.
Hey, you just been blessed with the island. Like, she came all the way over here to give you the blessing, you know, to kind of let you express our culture through you. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That's powerful, but you better not mess up.
Nah, you doing fine. You doing fine. Keep on doing.
Man, we just told you, don't put the pressure on me. You want to put all the pressure.
But that's what you want. That is what you're living for right now.
Make diamonds. Make diamonds.
Got it, girl. We behind you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So
Thank you.
Can you talk to us a little bit about your work with sea level rising?
Oh, yes. So that's also an initiative that was created by the Royals, and they brought me on as the face for sea level rising in the South Pacific. It's a climate change action project. Right now, scientists predict that in less than a century, Tonga will be completely underwater.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And it's a very, you know, I learned about this issue just most recently, but it's becoming such a passion project for me on a personal level, because I'm just now getting to know who I am as a Tongan woman and how I'm connected with the culture, and to learn that we are doing things that are contributing to the fact that Tonga could completely vanish is heavy on the heart. It's really heavy on the heart. And we have heard these things, you know, growing up. We've heard about global warming and the effects that it could do to the environment, and about recycling, and about the carbon dioxide. And we've heard about things. We learned about these things, but they don't really start to register when it hits home like that. You know, Tonga is not a volcanic island. It's a coral island, which makes it all the more the urgency to really make a move like this, because we are already seeing the effects of it in Hawaii. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a real thing. This is not a matter like, oh, you know, it's not going to affect us right now. Like, we don't understand the severity and like the seriousness of what's happening right now, and what it is that we need to do as a community to rally up and raise awareness and come out with real solutions to help with like what's happening. Because even for me, you know, the first thing that came to mind was just like, okay, well, we got to start small. We got to start in the grassroots and what it is that we can do as individuals. But no, it's so much more bigger than that. It's because it's in these corporations, right? It's in like the Fords and the Chevrolets, and it's in these tobacco products. It's in these factories. These are large corporations with a lot of money. That means that we as a people have to kind of get creative in ways to really raise awareness on these things. The sea level rising water is contaminating the fresh drinking water in Tonga. It's damaging the crops. Where if the farmers are that's how they survive, it's their livelihood, and they're not able to harvest, that's also hitting the community in a big way. We're already seeing those changes, you know? And so the Royals, they brought me on as the face to kind of just be like an ambassador, but I'm also realizing like there's so much more that I want to do for this project. We're actually going to be shooting a documentary. It's not just about the land, it's the preservation of the culture and how the sea is a part of our land. You know, we're not just small islands in the middle of nowhere. We are a sea of islands. The water is very much a part of who we are. It's one of our resources. We do everything with that water. And it's important that we also like be more mindful of like the earth and the way that we treat it. And that's the reason why like we were like masters at being, you know, sea navigators and stuff, because we treated the land like just how we treated the people, you know, it becomes like your opanga, you know. And so it's crazy what's happening, and I'm just, you know, I'm lucky to kind of be able to bring awareness to it, because no one really cares about these little small islands in the South Pacific. And we're not just talking about Polynesia, we're talking about Micronesia and Melanesia, because those islands are even in it's like so much more impactful on their islands, because they're already sinking. The islands are already sinking. It's by centimeters, yeah, but like every year it's you know, it's just gradually building. And like there are certain islands like Kiribati, they're like one of the top 10 that's going to be the first to go when it does happen. Yeah, Kiribati, the Maldives. There's another island in the Solomon Islands, the Tahiti. I think that our people need to really learn about and get up on game about, because at one point, even when I was doing my research, is that when it was happening in Hot Bai, the people didn't understand what was happening. They didn't know what climate change was, what that meant. And they were running to the water. They were running to the water to go see what was happening. And that's very dangerous. So even they're trying to figure out solutions in Hot Bai, and like they're trying to like move the people who are on the outer parts of the island more inner. But the way that the land ownership is, how we do it in Tonga, is that it's by family. So some of them are making suggestions that that the government buy back the land from the people and then equally distribute, you know, amongst the families. But they're not going to do that. Like, you know, the way that it's been in Tonga and how, you know, how the land is passed down, it's not going to happen. So, you know, we have to figure out other ways to combat that. And then that's why I'm like, you know, I feel like lucky to be a part of this project, to really have, to create some kind of like real concrete solutions to help the people and raise awareness on sea level rising.
So where can our listeners go and find information about that?
To get more information on sea level rising and the climate action project for Tonga, you can go and check out tanumaki.org, and it's TANUMAKI.org.
So you're talking about, you know, sea level rising and how it's like connected to a culture. Do you feel like with our generation here and in the States that we're losing our culture?
Absolutely. I say that because it's hard not to. You know, America is a melting pot. It's made up of different cultures. That's what the American culture is. It's made up of a combination of different cultures from all different parts of the world. So you think about it, you know, growing up, you're one way at home, and then when you leave that door, you're someone completely different on the outside. So
it's the only way you survive.
Yeah, exactly. You got to adapt, right? So we are, in a sense, losing that. And, you know, I don't want to say like, oh, we're just completely hopeless and, you know, and being able to preserve it. I think it's just finding new ways to express that. Because at the same time, old ways won't open new doors. And I think that it's important for us to understand that we, you know, culture is just a set of beliefs, you know, that we as people put together. Yeah. So, you know, we can add on to, you know, the things that we've been taught, and like learning how to preserve the more like special and unique things about the culture, like respect and, you know, and like, you know, just the way that we approach different people in certain situations with humility and with service, with kindness, you know.
So you're from Paris, California?
Yeah.
Are there any other Tongans other than your family that live there?
Oh, we were the first Tongans to move there. Like my dad purposely moved us away from all the polys. He didn't want us to grow up with any of the polys. Yeah, so it's literally in the middle of nowhere. It's in the desert.
Yeah. How far is that from Long Beach?
It's probably about like an hour. It's about an hour from there, hour and 20 from LAX. Yeah.
Is that by like the plane graveyard, Paris, California?
Yes, like Air Force, the March Air Force Base.
Yeah.
Like if you're going towards like Pechanga, or the other one is like Capizon. If you're going like Banning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm here in the boonies in the middle of
Yeah,
nowhere.
it literally is the boonies.
So when people ask you, hey, what nationality are you? Say Tongans, like, what's that?
Yeah, all the time. In New York, they don't even think that. They think I'm like Dominican, Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
They think I'm mixed or a mixed Asian, Blasian girl.
That's a good thing, because when they see me, it was like, oh, yeah, you're Samoan, huh?
I thought they always asked you if you're black. For real. Every time they see me, it's like, hey, man, you Samoan? Man. Nah, it's like, hey, what's up, nigga? What's poppin'?
hey, at one point, I thought I was really black, bro. For real, I thought I was black. I had the wave cap, you know what I'm saying? For real. Straight up, bro, with the hat to the side, pretending like I was black, bro. Everybody, I'm a light-skinned brother who's cracking blood.
Oh, you consider light skin?
Oh,
Just kidding.
hey, compared to my black ass friends, hell yeah.
Well, we thought you just blended in. We thought you were black, you blended in.
Damn.
I was just kidding.
Nah, he wasn't that black before he came to Arizona. He came to Arizona and got hella black.
Nigga, got hella black.
Heck, a black over there, bro.
Thought I was Haitian.
Oh, man.
No, that's a good thing though. That means you got that melanin.
Watch out, man.
Melanin in your skin.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna ask, Velonika, are you related to Pome'e's Charlie Pome'e, the guys that sing 3 Houses Down?
Nah. Yeah, I think that there's only 2 different Pome'es, and it's them and it's us. And Pome'e is not even really like my original last name. It was like a name that was kind of given to us by the king like a couple generations back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The original last name there.
I think it's Pangalao. Yeah, it's Pangalao. Yeah, Pome'e just means dance of the night, and like my great. Yeah.
Oh, so then.
You get a little tongue tied over there, man?
Oh, that was the one? That was the one?
No, because that means that you're familiar with Joe.
Who's that? Oh, damn. Do I want to be family with them? Wait, who?
What part of Tonga is your family from? I don't think we asked you that.
Yeah, my dad is from Makabe, Vava'u. And my mom is from Habelu.
Oh, okay.
Tonga. Like Kolomotua. Tonga. Yeah.
And Kolo.
That's where I was born.
Habelu?
Yeah.
Habelu Loto?
Yeah.
Oh, it's nice. Shoot, we might be family.
No, yeah, wait.
Oh, Gorda.
Family. Who's family?
Dude, how about I found out that I'm related to the royals because they're like, I don't know, something. However, they said that that the princess came back and was like, oh yeah, que hilo, Veronica, of my family.
Started claiming, huh?
No, but that's just the Tongan thing to do. Everybody gonna claim they're related to you.
Yeah, but you know, they're like, dude, not the princess though. Don't be doing that. Like,
Doing too much, huh?
don't be trying to get clout, and I'm like, hey, I'm getting clout if she's talking. She's going like, I'm like, tell her please go through that. I wonder if they'll treat me different. Just kidding.
You sometimes Tongan people ask where you're from. You're related.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's the first thing I get, and I'll just be like, dang, we can't just kick it.
We gotta be related now. Come on, man.
I'm like, yo, why you gotta kill the vibes for?
Real quick, Veronika, is there anything that you're working on now that you want to talk about a little bit, or is there anything you want any of our viewers to know? Projects, anything you have?
Yes. So the Sports Illustrated magazine launches May 8th. Everyone, please go get it, support it, tag your girl, tag SI_swimsuit on Instagram. I think it's really important for them to know why it's important for someone like me to be in their magazine and how I add value. And not only like for the culture, but for in general, for the overall better of women. Mm-hmm. I get a lot of trolls. I was kind of like, I got in trouble by my management because I went on a rant on social media like a couple weeks ago on it, because out of all of the girls in the top 6, I have like the least amount of likes, views, shares, and whatnot. And I know that those things don't really matter because they don't define who I am, but it's a numbers game. It's very much politics in this whole entire competition. Mm-hmm. And I just ask for like everyone to just rally up and support and like go show love and tag them and like, really tell them how they feel, why it's important to have someone like me there. A lot of the men go and troll and like make comments under their posts and say like very negative things. And I don't really care about it, but I also am very realistic about who the Sports Illustrated audience is. It's a male dominant audience. So mm-hmm. I asked in my rant for our poly men to go and uplift our women and help in that way and like just really raise awareness, because ultimately it's not the fact that that I'm in a swimsuit. It's what I'm going to be doing with that platform and my message behind being more body positive and like owning who you are, embracing who you are as a woman and having like these deeper qualities shine through, but that's just like what it is that I'm a part of. Sports Illustrated is a big brand. It's a huge platform for me to really connect with the viewers and like my audience. So I just really ask, everyone who's listening in on the show, it doesn't even matter if you're poly, but if my story or my message really resonates with you, I just ask that you continue to support and, and make sure you like tag SI, let them know why it's important, why you want to see more people like me. And more maybe bodies like mine, or just different kind of body diversity and different shapes and sizes, and I want our men to like really go and like uplift, because you got freaking Billy and Bob over here leaving comments. I want to see Sione up under there. I want to see, I want to see all you guys, because it's very important for us women, us poly women, us Tongan women to feel supported by the men, and in the same way. It's very powerful when we can come together and join forces in that way. And so that is what I would, just ask and like leave with all the viewers or the listeners out there.
How can people find you?
You can go to VelonikaPome'e.com. That is my website. I'm also I have like a few other projects that I'm working on, and like skincare. I always get asked about what my skincare routine is, and I have a coffee scrub that I've been working and developing on, where I'm going to establish a fair trade partnership with the coffee farmers in Tongan and find a way to give back to the community and really like what makes the culture unique, and the techniques that we use for Lolotonga, and like how over the years, we've grown to like learn more things about the culture and like different methods and like beauty things that our moms used to do back in the day or whatever. But yeah, you can find out more about the things that I'm doing and stay up to date with all my projects at VelonikaPome'e.com, or you can find me on Instagram at Velonika Pome'e. My Twitter is at @bpome'e, and Facebook is also Velonika Pome'e. I'm like Tupac. I'm not hard to find. Yep,
y'all go out and listen. Y'all go out and support our girl. Let's push her to the top.
Yeah,
every like counts.
Thank you.
Our community, our audience, it's going to take a group effort. So we're all in this together.
Yes.
I got a random question. I don't know if it's for the podcast, but I saw one of your posts. You had you were rocking some exclusive J's. And can you tell us about that? Because I'm a sneakerhead, so I'm a fan of sneakers. So.
Yes, so it's pretty dope. You know, in terms of the conversation of sea level rising, we're you know, we definitely want to implement more sustainable ways of living. And those Nikes, those the Jordan 1s, were made up of different, like 50 different recyclable leather fabrics. It's all made from sustainable materials. And there were only a certain amount. I don't want to like get it wrong and say the wrong number, but there was only a certain amount made in the world, and I'm one of them who have them. And DJ Khaled and a few other people who have those shoes. So yeah, it's pretty dope. And another dope thing is that there are two members on the design team for Nike, and they're both poly, and they're the ones who hooked me up with those shoes.
The ones that were on the What It Do?
Yeah.
Those know their stuff.
Yeah, and shout out to Keith. You know, so yeah, they showed me love, and they just, you know, they sent me a pair, and I thought that was pretty cool. So those are some things that I would love to do in the future, like brand partnerships like that with those brands. Yeah.
I mean, if you happen to come across another pair, you know, size 15, just send them over here.
I know. I see you got a little sneaker collection back there. It's not little. It's like a big sneaker collection.
Just part of it.
Wow. How many pairs do you have?
Now I know it's less than 200, but I would say between 100 and 200.
Ooh.
What was it before?
Before it was approaching 300.
Ooh, why did you sell them?
Yeah, I had to downsize. It was taking up too much space, but I was fortunate enough to get hooked up with a lot of it when I was, you know, back in my playing days, because I had a sponsorship with Nike. So
wow,
for some of it.
Hey, Paul, I wear size 15 too, bro. What's up? Can I get some kicks? Can I go so?
I only got red Jordans. Come on, bro. You know the street code, bro. I got you.
Also, a funny story was when Paul came out here to Kansas to play for the Chiefs. I would go over on occasion to go to mix, right? So every time I would go over, there'd be like 6 or 7 stacks of brand new shoes. I was like, dang, bro, what are you doing? He's like, oh, you know, just had to, you know, update my inventory. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, man, on my shoes. I was like, oh my gosh, dude. This dude had all over the place.
Nah, I was bored and had nothing to do but keep up with my kick game when I was in Kansas City. Just Nike sponsorship. Yeah, I think idea for you, maybe you can auction them off for one of your causes. You can sign them, auction off each shoe for one of your causes. I know I'd be definitely interested in owning a pair of shoes, exclusive shoes for a good cause. Just throwing it out there.
Definitely to consider. I want to do like, that's something that like I've been working on right now. Like I really want to do like a dope collaboration with like a big brand.
Yeah.
And have it be like the focal point on sea level rising and being like more sustainable. You know, that'd be so dope to just like shed light on Tonga with a big brand like that. So I'm just speaking it into the universe, or something like that happens.
Yes.
And yeah,
existence. It's gonna happen. Just get ready for it. So when it happens, you're not surprised.
Yeah.
And I'll be the one to get a pair since I'm, you know.
Yep. I'm gonna hold you to that.
All right, cool.
Well, anything else you guys want to ask for, or we good?
Where's Notis at?
He probably went 8 something.
He went to go eat.
Probably went type 4. Probably hella type 4 right now.
I'm like, Siama, okay, Aussie.
So,
We ain't even done yet.
No. Well, toma esta interview. Hold on.
Oh man!
I don't think he can hear us because his thing's probably still plugged.
Yeah, he doesn't have the headphones. So someone call Sid.
Oh man!
We're gonna leave. We're not even done yet.
Hey,
he's down on the double.
4x4. I'll go fuck on my.
Oh my god.
That Kalasi more. Hell yeah. Hey, appreciate the love. Very inspiring. I think it's gonna hit a lot of people. Hopefully they get to see the real you. Mm-hmm. You know, kind of listen to you and not just like the picture. Kind of because I know you got your little love and what is it called?
Changing Love.
Changing Love. Oh, I love the name. Changing Love.
Thank you.
But yeah, hopefully to shed another light on them. Let them know.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you guys for having me. I mean, this was like pretty dope. You know, I do a lot of interviews and stuff, but I really like when I get to show or share a different part of me, a different side of me with my culture, because I think that's important, as we're moving forward and things are starting to get a little crazy. I want to stay grounded and rooted with my people so that they understand what I'm trying to do and why it's important to support what it is that I'm doing, because in these spaces, the numbers is going to come from our people, even though the idea is to really inspire the masses and whoever feels who my message or my story resonates with, that's cool, because I don't want to be biased, and I don't want to block off the inspiration to everyone. Like, anyone can get it, but I know that it really hits home when you come from same background as me, and it's very hard for us to see ourselves in these type of spaces in that light, and I'm here to tell them, like, you can really, like, dare to dream, dream big. Don't be afraid to go outside of the box and think outside of the norm and try different things. You're always going to be a Tongan wherever it is that you go, and how you treat people and all your interactions. And I think that it's important for us to take our culture with us in these places. So,
man.
Tweet that out.
Tweet that out.
Oh, now all of a sudden.
Damn, you could have at least followed your food before you came back into the camera.
Man,
man.
I had to. Sid just brought the fresh off the grilled burgers, man. They're still hot.
You gotta eat them when it's hot.
In and out, baby.
Yeah, you heard him. That's it right there, baby.
I can't tell it was hot the way you flew that thing. I can't even tell it was that hot. That mud like a python.
This sounds like you're being more kaipo than anything.
Hella
kaipo right now. Hey, I ain't even mad about it. I'm being truthful. That's my truth.
That's my truth.
No shame.
No shame. At least I'm gonna tell you the camera, dude. Man, we can hear all the sound effects in the background.
You can hear go.
I know. It's like, damn, it's already dead, Ma.
You talking about Notis?
That was back there killing the fries. It's already dead, man.
Hey, dude, why you gotta do us like that?
Hey, man, Sid brought the burgers over. I just had a man.
I'm not even mad at you. That was some In and Out you just smashed on.
Oh yeah, and he got me my favorite root beer.
Oh,
oh my goodness!
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, Shake Shack over In and Out. Shake Shack. Those burgers are way better. That's for another show, but I'm gonna tell you that.
I don't eat meat, so I can't even speak on In and Out.
What about when you did eat? Did you ever go to In and Out?
When I did eat meat, I did go to In and Out, but it wasn't like, I don't know. Like, it wasn't like a thing for me. Like, I didn't understand the hype around it. I mean, I love the animal style.
Yeah.
Like, for sure. But,
shoot, I didn't go there because it was my muffler. I'd rather go get 99-cent burgers, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, but that's just garbage.
You gotta treat yourself sometimes, man.
Yeah, you do.
Can't eat the 99-cent burgers all the time.
It's just nice to go sit and eat my burger with a bunch of white people around. That's the only reason why I went. I'm like, yeah, I think I made it.
Thank you guys for tuning into this episode of the Encouragers podcast. We'd like to thank our special guest, Tongan model and activist Velonika Pome'e. Thank you, Veronica, for joining us.
Yep. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah. Hey, come back. Keep us updated on what you're doing. You know, we'd love to share. Continue to share your message and just share with us. Keep us in the loop.
Definitely. I definitely will.
Yeah, especially with the sea level rising stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Let us know. We'll continue to educate people, too, in our following podcast.
Yep.
You know,
Sure.
Up.
For sure.
We'll be sure to include a link in the description of the podcast so all our listeners can go there and check it out. Thank you again, Veronika, for coming on the show. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you too. Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for blessing us.
Ofatu. Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening in to the Encouragers podcast. Join us next week as we welcome Tongan entrepreneur Matt Masafilo, who is the creator of the Olive Wall and founder of Cobblefied, as he joins us on our show next Sunday.
You're listening to the Encouragers podcast show.